Come in and lend us your ears. The revolution towards achieving better hearing health starts here, with us at Regain Hearing. Regain Hearing, regain clarity and learn how to listen again.
Hello and welcome to another one of our episodes with Regain Hearing. It's great to know that you're there. Thanks very much for joining us. Lee Fletcher is the man. Lee, good to see you again.
And you, Glenn?
He's the man in the know. Today's episode is all about something that affects thousands, millions of people, I think it's fair to say, worldwide, Lee, and that is tinnitus. And I've got 1,001 questions here that we're hoping to plough through as we get on with today's episode. But tinnitus, Lee, as I said there, it affects millions of people, doesn't it?
It does.
It's a lot of people silently as well. They don't know they've got it.
Well, some people don't realise that the sound in their ears isn't something that everyone experiences. So when I meet people, they come to us and say, I just didn't know that this strange sound in my head was something that was unique to me. And it's only when it started getting worse that I thought, maybe there's something I need to look at to do something about my tinnitus, or they don't even know what it is. Sometimes I have to look up what it is, and that's me, or they might read an article on it, and that triggers them to think, hang on, I've had that all my life. So it's an interesting subject.
So how do you define tinnitus then? How do we define it?
So it's a sound that is not external. So in the absence of any other sound, it's an internal creation. And it's born of many different reasons. So you can have it from noise damage. You can get it from ototoxic medication, where you're taking some medication for another condition and a side effect is tinnitus. It tends to revolve around the hair cells of the inner ear, 30,000 of them, and some kind of dysfunction. So 90% of cases are related to hearing loss.
And what are the common ways that most people describe their tinnitus? Just got this buzzing sound, this ringing sound in my ears.
All of those things. So buzzing, whooshing, rushing, ringing, whining, electrical interference we get, crickets. So they liken it to insects. Washing machine, I've had that a few times. That's an unusual one, but it tends to be a high-pitched sound. Almost everyone we meet has got some form of high-pitched sound in their ears.
I said at the beginning, Lee, that millions of people, in my rough estimate, have tinnitus. I've read up a little bit about it. But you're an expert, you're an audiologist in this field. What is the rough estimate of people with tinnitus? So
latest figures, 14.7% of the population. It's hard to know exactly how they come to get these figures.
That's the worldwide population.
Worldwide population. Yeah. Now, that's what's been reported. As in a lot of things in life, there's certain things that go unreported. So in our estimation, it's 1 in 5. So it's the 20% club. And it's something that is it's linked to so many different conditions, etc. So you can be more or less likely to get it depending on your background, what you do in your life, and also it can be genetic. So if there's hearing loss, then it can be passed down and you can get tinnitus as a result of that. So I think it's 90% of people with tinnitus also have hearing loss to some degree.
We often hear of the subjective, objective tinnitus.
Yes.
Perhaps you could differentiate the two for us.
So subjective is only you perceiving it. So you'll experience this sound, no one else will hear it. Objective tinnitus is when other people can actually hear the sound themselves, which sounds like madness to me. But I had one example where a gentleman came to see me with his wife and said, this tinnitus sound is coming out my ear.
Like, coming out my ear?
Coming out my ear. And the wife said, yeah, I can hear it as well. I was like, have you come to the right clinic? Not quite sure what this is. But as I got my otoscope, which is a little torch, looked in his ear, approached the ear, and I was like, I can hear a ringing sound. I thought, this is a wind-up. Looking around for cameras. I thought it's his phone. Is he playing a sound? Is he winding me up?
Right.
But no, got closer to his ear, and this whistling sound was coming out of his ear.
An audible sound?
An audible sound.
Coming out of his ear.
Now, I have had it before where people blow their nose and a whistling sound comes out the ear, and I'm like, maybe don't do that. Just professional advice. It's not a great idea. But with this guy, I had no explanation. And it's kind of rare that I get something that stumps me, but I said, look, I'm not overly sure. Have you been to ENT? Yeah, they don't know either. So I had nothing for him, and that's kind of rare.
Right, okay.
Strange one.
Causes and risk factors. I mean, the primary causes. What are the primary causes of tinnitus?
Hearing loss. So 90% of people with tinnitus, have hearing loss. So the other 10%, it can be kind of vascular or muscle movements or something, a bit like probably what happened with this gentleman, some kind of muscle movement, not sure, spasm, that sort of thing. So it is mainly to do with nerve deterioration, which is hair cells in the inner ear, 30,000 of them that we're born with. And if there's some kind of dysfunction, they can cause a tinnitus.
And is it something you get as you get older? Do young people get tinnitus?
As we get older,
are you born with tinnitus?
Some people are.
Okay.
Some people are born with it, and all they've known through childhood is this tinnitus sound that is unusual. So probably genetic, as opposed to a dysfunction. But most people we meet are a little older. Not everyone, but as you lose your hearing, you tend to, or some people develop tinnitus. So yeah, the 1 in 5. So you've got this issue that occurs as a result of the fact that, look, we're losing a hearing as we get older, and they'll develop this ringing, whooshing, whatever it is. But there are other things that can cause it. So like noise damage. Certainly if you've been working with power tools or in motorbikes or worked in factories, that can then lead to tinnitus. There's various conditions like Meniere's, certain conditions that will cause tinnitus as well.
And is there a link between the tinnitus and hearing loss? And if so, perhaps can you elaborate a bit more on that for us?
So as the hair cells in our inner ear deteriorate, they kind of fall over. Then with some people, you get this vibration.
Without sounding silly, and this is a very layman type question, is there a way of making those little hairs stand up again that will get rid of the tinnitus?
So there's no cure.
Okay.
It's just like a cold. Can't cure a cold, but you can treat it. We'll get onto that.
Yeah.
But those hair cells, once they fall over, that's kind of it. There's no stem cell research at the moment that we see that's coming out which can actually regrow them. So with some people, there's a theory, because these are all theories, that when the hair cells fall over, they move. They start kind of vibrating. And that sends a sound through the auditory nerve to the brain, which picks it up as a sound. That's one kind of accepted theory. The other one is to do with phantom limb syndrome, where if someone has some kind of amputation, they can wiggle their toes, they can feel it when it's not there. So with the other theory, it's the brain creating the sound, trying to make up for a deficient area. And the theory I kind of like is the central gain theory, it's called, which is where it combines the two. So a bit like feedback on stage, you get that high-pitched whistle or whatever it is, squeak, squeal, where the mic gets close to the amplifier and you get that horrible sound. That's a feedback loop.
Right.
So the central gain theory is that these hair cells are sending sound through the auditory nerve or impulses to the auditory nerve to the brain. The auditory cortex of the brain receives that or receives some kind of dysfunction, and it's a two-way street. So it sends a signal back down the auditory nerve to the damaged area, and it just re-stimulates and forms a feedback loop.
Yeah.
So it's internal feedback. Now, all these are theories, and I've done a bit of a pig's ear of explaining it, but it's as much layman terms as I can. Yeah. So that's what I like to think of when I picture tinnitus, and then when we try and disrupt that feedback loop. That's my goal in life from the tinnitus perspective. Yeah. So again, I can maybe expand on that in a bit.
And this is obviously back to your sound engineering life. You've got sort of relation where you can relate to that sort of noise exposure. Let's talk about that noise exposure. How significant are different levels of noise exposure to tinnitus? Does it bring it on faster? Does it accelerate it? And I used to present on the radio. I used to have my headphones on virtually every day as a radio presenter, listening to music, part of the job. My headphones were always reasonably loud. I never had them very low. I've known presenters who've had the headphones at full volume, like sitting next to speakers in a nightclub. How significant, to my knowledge, I don't have tinnitus yet, touch wood.
No.
But am I likely to get it because of that noise exposure?
More likely.
Right.
So it is a little bit of a mystery as to why some people get it, some people don't. I've seen people with atrocious, really bad hearing losses, like severe hearing loss in the high frequencies, which is where, like high pitch, where tinnitus tends to stem from, and they don't have tinnitus. So some people have it, some people don't. And it is that sort of 20% in our estimations of people that will get tinnitus, or people that experience it, sorry. If you do have some kind of noise exposure, you are more likely to get it because you will get more chance of getting hearing loss. So if you develop a hearing loss, then yes, you're far more likely to get it. If you worked in an office all your life and didn't really experience much sound, you're far less likely to develop a hearing loss and therefore progress to tinnitus.
Are there medications that you can get for tinnitus? Drops in the ear or anything like that?
No, there's no snake oil available. There's lots of places that suggest you can take certain things. Now, of course, if you take a bit of medication for a condition that's contributing to tinnitus, then yes. If there's something that's causing it, then absolutely. If there's wax in your ears, it's a good place to start.
Okay.
So you can treat the wax or get the wax removed, and then the tinnitus magically goes away. So I suppose so. But there's no cure, just like there's no cure for hearing, like we said. So you just have to live with it. Right. You can't go to the doctors and get a medication. There's also no operations unless you have a pretty extreme one where the hearing is destroyed. And some people have been known to do that and still hear the tinnitus. So not the best advice, although, people are free to do what they're told to.
Can lifestyle factors contribute to tinnitus as well? I mean, and health problems, like if you've got high or low blood pressure, does that affect it?
It can do, yeah. High blood pressure has been known to affect tinnitus. There's all sorts of things, dietary, lifestyle, that can affect it, as you'd probably expect. So, if you drink a lot of coffee or alcohol or other substances, that can have an impact on your life, and then people can get tinnitus from all sorts of things. Even stress, that's a big one.
I was going to come on to that. Yeah, stress.
Yeah, I mean,
anxiety.
That certainly can exacerbate the problem. If you already have underlying tinnitus and you have quite a stressful experience, like trauma even, that could just bring it on, and it can stay there. So ideally, it's best to treat these things as quickly as you can, or at least get it checked out. Because if there's something that you're doing that could be creating or making this problem worse, then you need to maybe see someone, medical professional. Independent audiologists are a good place to start. But if you think it is medical, then absolutely the GP route. Really depends.
If I don't know that I've got tinnitus, can I come to somebody like you here at Regain Hearing and you do tests on me to tell me that I have got tinnitus or I'm on the edge of tinnitus? Is there a way of that, of leading a patient or a client into that?
People don't sometimes know the term for it.
Right.
So I'll tell them, you've got tinnitus. What you're describing to me is tinnitus. What, this ringing in my ears? Yeah, that's the term we use for it. So people will sometimes say, I get this really horrible shrieking in my ears. So yeah, we're in a way, we're then diagnosing it. Most of the time, though, people have looked it up and they know the term, and that's how they found us, because we actually provide something that can treat it, which is unusual to find somewhere that can actually treat it. So it's really lovely when you can actually reduce it down, but you have to diagnose it first. And that is quite the battle. So diagnosing tinnitus is difficult. It was always tricky with the standards of hearing testing that we had. Because that's the advice. That's what a GP will say. There's no medication. They'll say there's no real treatment or there's nothing you can do about tinnitus, which, can you imagine? You get this condition, you go to the GP and they're like, sorry.
And I guess when somebody comes into you for that tinnitus check, the first thing you ask is, well, what did you do for a living? If it's an elderly patient or a client, what was your job? Did you work in a factory or,
Yeah, it doesn't matter when you did.
Yeah.
So some of my older clients will say that I was 14 when I worked in that factory, or when I shot guns or whatever it was, messing around as kids do. But even that can trigger something that then occurs in later life. We're only really speculating, but there's likelihoods of what, of course, causes things. If you're a bus driver all your life, then that engine noise will get to you. Or jet aircraft, an obvious one.
Yeah.
If you worked in certain noisy environments like a factory, if you use grinders without ear protection.
So it needs to be above a certain decibel level, does it, or not necessarily?
There are guidelines. 85 decibels is the accepted up to that. But if you were in an environment that was 80 decibels for years, it will have a cumulative effect.
Okay.
And it will show up. There are ways for us to see as audiologists if there's noise damage there. Sometimes, even if it isn't, quite a lot of the time, tinnitus will occur. So what you need is the equipment to work out, well, where's your tinnitus then? And this is the contentious issue. So we made a decision to get equipment that would give us a lot more information. So it's a conscious choice. Because of my background, I quite like having more data to do with audio anyway. So we've got pressure checks, which is called a tympanometer. We have video otoscopy, which is where we look on screen at the ear, which is good to just see if there's any abnormalities visually. The pressure check will then tell us, is this physical? Because it can occur from the eardrum. It could be middle ear, where you get 3 hearing bones called the ossicles. It's on the screen there. So
Show us.
it can be the eardrum sort of fluttering, vibrating, creating a sound. Again, that might be vascular, or it could be something to do with muscles. It could be the hearing bones beyond, the smallest bones in the human body, called the ossicles. They could be somehow vibrating and creating a sound if there's a dysfunction there. It can be the eustachian tube that connects the throat, ear, nose, throat, to nasal passages, etc. And there might be a blockage, there might be mucus coming up through it, it might just be blocked, or there could be a dysfunction with that. And that can create a tinnitus sound. So we need to work out, is it this? So we purposely got all the equipment we could, so we could go through a process of elimination. Once we've eliminated that, we then test the inner ear. And that is the majority of cases we see, that the inner ear is causing tinnitus.
You mentioned the hairs,
Hair cells.
the hair cell nerves. That's the ones there, as we can see. Yeah.
So born with 30,000 of them.
Yeah.
We leave this world with fewer. But there tends to be a reaction. So tinnitus is a reaction to the deterioration process, so hearing loss. And whatever's caused that hearing loss can cause tinnitus, like we've said. So if you test people at more frequencies, especially the higher frequencies, which is what I'm interested in, you're far more likely to get an idea of where the tinnitus is. Sometimes it's staring back at us on screen. Well, there it is. And I'll show the clients. So we deliberately got higher grade equipment. We've got audiometers that go right up to 20,000 hertz. So range of human hearing, 20 to 20,000. That's
quite a range, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Now, audiologists tend to, they're only really regulated to test at a third of the cochlea, a third of it. Which is fine, that's where the speech frequencies are, that's the reason. But what I found was if you test outside of these areas, you can pick up what's called hidden hearing loss. So that's extended high frequencies. That's where the tinnitus tends to lie, or in a lot of cases, we find there's the real issue with the hearing, and it's really important. That area of hearing is important. It's just typically we haven't tested there. I'm going to then rebuy all the equipment, but we decided to get that. So we started to find little patterns and notice things about tinnitus and hearing loss that are linked, just as we said. And that was the first, I suppose, we noticed things. It's the first sort of dive into it that we thought, okay, there's a link here.
Okay, fascinating. Thanks for that, Lee. Let's move on to diagnosis and assessment then. When should somebody come and see somebody like yourself, an audiologist?
So if they're experiencing tinnitus, it can be fleeting. So like I said earlier, it could just be earwax. So get somebody to look in your ear. Independent audiologists, good place to start, but GPs can do it. There are other audiologists that can look and tell you if it's wax. If so, remove it. And that should stop the tinnitus if it's early onset. But you might find that it's not related to wax at all and it's something else. So typically we say it's best to wait a few months. So 3 to 6 months is a good estimate, really.
So come to get the wax out.
If it's
then leave
waxed,
it for a
great,
while, yeah.
you'll be fine.
Yeah.
If you're still getting the tinnitus, then we need to do further investigation.
Yeah.
But if it is not to do with wax, you wait till it goes away, which sounds strange, but sometimes it just does. There's no point treating something that is a result of something you might have, might be on some kind of underlying condition. It might be some medication you're taking, hard to know. But if you really are concerned, so let's say you develop really strong tinnitus overnight, absolutely come to an audiologist straight away. And that might even need referring on to A&E.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's quite serious, this. You get what's called sudden sensory neural hearing loss, and tinnitus can be a symptom of that. What you don't want to do is leave that. What you don't want to do is take decongestants that GP might say, it's probably that. It's not their fault. They don't know because they haven't got the equipment.
I think it's just sinus problems.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's really easy just to go, it's fine, it'll clear up. And I'll probably be like that myself. I'm going to the doctor, it'll be all right. It's a really easy thing to do. But you've got 24, 48 hours to get steroids that will wake up the hair cells again.
Okay.
So massively important point. If it comes on really strongly, then just go and see someone. And you can see someone if it's just mild, doesn't matter, say a 15-minute appointment, but it's something that's really important to sort out.
I know my mum had tinnitus quite badly, and she's still with us, sadly in a care home now, but she was very aware of the tinnitus when there was no other sound around. So trying to get to sleep at night, waking up in the morning, she could hear this. All the time there was people talking, television was on, radio was on, not a problem. But it was when everything was really quiet, that's when it became very apparent to her.
Yeah, it can really affect
almost
you.
drove her mad, to be honest with you.
We see this.
Yeah.
So tinnitus can come in varying degrees. It can be mild in the background. It's like, I don't know what they're worried about. I'll just ignore mine. Or yours is probably quite mild then. It can get varying degrees right up to the term catastrophic tinnitus. I've met people like that. They're kind of beside themselves.
Catastrophic?
Where it is life-changing and drives you to distraction. It's hard to function on anything in life.
Wow.
It can affect your work, it can affect family life. People get really irritable, grumpy. They're like not themselves anymore. And it's either come on relatively quickly or it's been gradual through years. And it can get to that point where that's the diagnosis, catastrophic. And that's the sort of thing that be really good to try and either get counselling, because that's another route that the GP might suggest. You can get tinnitus retraining therapy. You can get cognitive behavioural therapy, so CBT, TRT, and that can help. So probably not for someone like your mum, but it can get really serious and you may need further help.
Yeah.
Now, we like to treat any level of tinnitus, which we can talk about, and it's lovely to have something we can actually do to reduce it, rather than say, look, you've got to live with it, distraction techniques, etc.
And what about ruling out other serious conditions?
That is very important.
Yeah.
So now and again, we will diagnose something more sinister, and it shows up on a hearing test. So now and again, we can see something in the ear, like a cholesteatoma, as it's called, which is where the eardrum's being eaten away. It's horrible. And that causes all sorts of things. Tinnitus can be one of those, but normally that can come with hearing loss, sometimes pain. Tinnitus can be the sign of a tumour, not the nicest subject.
Wow, okay.
But when we see unusual results, and we've done our jobs properly, and we've got the true diagnostic testing, etc., then we have been known a few times to actually refer somebody on immediately to A&E. Because you think this isn't right, and you want to treat that sort of thing as soon as you can.
Okay. Now I've got this next one written down here. Perhaps you can tell us, Lee, about tinnitus handicap inventory, THI.
Right.
What does that mean?
So we need to assess, to a degree, what someone's tinnitus is like, how it's affecting them. What is it, and when does it become apparent in their life? Does it stop them sleeping? Does it make them anxious? Is it affecting their work? Is it just in the background? So we've got a list of questions that are scored and it gives us a score at the end, which enables us to label their tinnitus. And like I was saying, right through to catastrophic, but it could be slight, mild, moderate. By going through these questions, it gives us a ton of information. Now, we'll still talk to people, try and figure it out, but it's a really nice place to start. So when they're sat in reception having a coffee, they can just go through this on a tablet and just get this questionnaire complete, and that comes through on our systems, and then we can go through it. So that's a really nice place to start.
All right, Lee, thanks for that. Hearing aids and tinnitus then. Would a hearing aid help me if I've got tinnitus? Whether that tinnitus is mild or pretty serious, would the aid help?
In many cases, a bit vague, isn't it? But this is how I first noticed that I can have an effect on tinnitus. So hearing loss is the main link to tinnitus. So it makes sense that if you've got some kind of hearing aid that is programmed very well and stimulates those areas that are responsible for the tinnitus, then it kind of masks it. So you're hearing nice clear sound instead of your tinnitus. So a bit of a fluke a lot of the time, but I did notice that many years ago, so 20 years I've been doing this, and even the first year that I fit people with hearing aids, I noticed that some of them would mention tinnitus and that the hearing aids helping their tinnitus. And like most audiologists, we're like, oh, brilliant, it's good, without thinking much about it, because we're all told you can't treat tinnitus, no cure for it. And there's certainly no advice as from our perspective of, well, how do we reduce it? So we just get that general advice that tinnitus might be helped with hearing aids. So it's a little bit hit and miss. It was very hit and miss. But I started noticing things. And again, because of my background in sound engineering, we've mentioned it a few times, but the point is I started looking outside of the standard audiology and what we were taught, because I've mixed and recorded music all my life. So I'm very used to manipulating sound. I just started noticing patterns. And I'm a bit like a dog with a bone. So this is why I've kind of ended up doing what I'm doing now, because if someone said to me, oh, it's helping my tinnitus, I'd delve. And I'd say, well, tell me what do you mean? When you say helping, what do you mean? And so when I take it out, it comes straight back. Some people would say, oh, it takes a little while to come back. So it got me thinking, well, there's got to be something here. What is it that is allowing us to kind of help some people? And what I then noticed is that typically the worst frequency, the worst result, the worst aspect of someone's hearing was where the tinnitus was likely to be. Not always, but likely to. So I made these connections, started trying to figure out, where is it? That's what prompted me to get our first audiometers that went up to this ultra high frequency. I just wanted to know more. I wasn't happy with just the standard testing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's what we all do. But I wanted to know more. So we started noticing that if we really stimulated the hearing correctly with the correct fitting hearing aids, etc., quite a hard job, skillful job, we could actually start having more of an effect on tinnitus. Quite interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Was there a common pattern with people, or is everybody different?
There were common patterns. We started to develop a tinnitus protocol that was our own invention. Remember, there's research, which is useful, but there's no guidance on actually helping someone. Other than what we've said, of course you can get counselling. You know, some people massively benefit from that. Others, I don't really want it. There are distraction techniques. So sometimes they get a white noise generator, for example, like a sleep pillow that you can get nowadays. Or they just put the radio on, you know, to try and distract them. So the distraction techniques are fine. But we started noticing that if we did certain things with hearing aids, it actively reduced down tinnitus. We've now got tinnitus devices and things, but years ago, we didn't really have any of that. So it was down to patterns and working with people, because they will be your guinea pigs. You know, if you can help someone's tinnitus, they will absolutely come back and give you more information. So I started getting clients who were similar with their tinnitus, some of them very unusual, but going through a trial and error process, we started using hearing aids to target tinnitus more effectively. It worked.
You mentioned earlier about sound therapy masking. Perhaps you can tell us a bit more about sound therapy masking or masking devices. What does that mean?
So if you're lucky and you go to GP, ENT, and you say, look, I've got really, really bad tinnitus, they will give you a tinnitus therapy device, which is like a hearing aid. Sometimes it's incorporated into the hearing aid. This is going back a little while. And you can put something in your ears and press a button and it'll play a white noise or some kind of masking generation. So you've got pink noise, brown noise, all these different noises, high pitch, mid pitch.
I know of white noise. I've never heard of brown noise.
There's all sorts. And it can be quite useful because instead of putting up with this torturous screech, because it can be torturous for people, you know, whatever the screeching, hissing, whooshing sound is, rather than listening to that, they're listening to a more gentle ocean waves or white noise, whatever it is. So that was a distraction, not bad, but something changed, which was hearing aid manufacturers decided to include this masking generation sound into their products. Yeah. And we all thought, well, it's all right, it's something in it. So somebody came to us and said, look, I've got hearing loss, tinnitus as well, can you help? I was like, oh, maybe you can try this. So what we do is give them a remote control with their hearing aids and say, right, when it's bothering you, put the sound on and turn it up or down.
Yeah.
And that's when we had a bit of a eureka moment. So a few of us, audiologists, chatting away back in 2015, were noticing that when people were using this sound, it was having an effect on their tinnitus. So people were coming back to us asking the same questions, which was, why is it that when I turn this sound up, this white noise or whatever noise you've given me, for a few minutes, few hours, or the entire day, I don't hear my tinnitus? All right. Firstly, why are you turning it up? And secondly, what do you mean? What do you mean you're not hearing it? So they turn off the generator and they don't hear the tinnitus, which means that must be some kind of exercise.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's really hard because if you start messing about with this stuff, it can cause problems. Or if you don't quite know what you're doing, you don't want to cause more problems, because some people say, oh, it's awful, it's making my tinnitus worse. So because, again, of my background, I just know where every frequency is. I just know. Yeah. And because I had the diagnostic audiometers that were greater bandwidth, I started looking into this, and like I said, people will be guinea pigs. So I started figuring out exactly where people's tinnitus was, and then using masking in a creative way to actively reduce it. I know this is complex, but that's the essence of that. That was what created our tinnitus protocols. It was born from that. Yeah. And it is quite complicated to the point where we've got so many techniques now. It's not a remote control anymore, it's an app. You get an app for your hearing aids that are now the tinnitus devices that we use.
Yeah, the technology is amazing though, isn't it?
It just means that we've got something we can do. Yeah. Even if you put these devices in just for a little while, if it stimulates the right region, you can actively reduce down tinnitus. And that's something that I struggle to find research or advice on myself, and I'm always looking. Yeah. So this is of our own invention, but we've got hundreds upon hundreds of clients now who are over the moon because they say to us, I haven't got it anymore. Yeah. Now, if they stop using the devices, it will come back. Yeah. It's not a cure. No one said it was a cure. But what a treatment. What a lovely thing to say to someone. And they all, when they come to us, the ones with really bad tinnitus tend to say the same thing. Yeah. It's like, probably can't help me. I'm like, strap in. Yeah. This will be. But that it's a challenge to me. Yeah. You know, I mean, I think of tinnitus as my nemesis. Yeah. It's something that will be thwarted. I genuinely feel now that it's like was put on this earth.
Well, because it causes misery for so many people, doesn't it? It really does.
Yeah, those people that say you probably can't help me, I'm like, right, I'll do my best. And I know some of this is a bit light-hearted, but for some people, a lot of people I meet, it is unbelievably serious. They don't know what to do with themselves. And if we can offer something that helps, it is a lifeline. Because some people are, pretty close to the edge with tinnitus.
And you've seen that yourself, haven't you?
A few times. Yeah. And it's hard to sort of prepare yourself for that sort of thing because we see people all the time. And we've had people before say to us, I don't know how I'm going to continue if this can't be helped. If there can't be, if there's no way of treating this problem, then I'm not sure I want to be here anymore. That sort of thing. And you're thinking, no pressure. What do I do here? Now it doesn't faze me, and I will be like a dog with a bone. I'm going to.
I was going to say, how do you face that? Somebody comes into you and says, I don't think I can carry on because the tinnitus is so bad. How on earth, as an expert in your field, because there's so much pressure on you, isn't there, to help these people out?
I've done this for a long time now.
Yeah.
There's nothing I haven't seen. And I will spend 2 hours with them. 2-hour consultation. And my goal is to find it. Let's find where it is. And during the appointment, I'm going to try and reduce it. Using sound to treat your sound, which makes a ton of sense. If there's no medication, no operations, then my background lends itself.
Sure.
I didn't know that playing guitar at 6 years of age, because my parents thought I was hyperactive, can you imagine? Would lead to me being obsessed with music, going into sound engineering, music production, all this creative stuff, writing songs, recording them, just very much, that's my thing. Then audiology. Sounds interesting. Got a degree in that, another degree, whatever. And then found my way because audiologists had a certain disconnect. They're not talking to sound engineers. Oh my God, is it linked beautifully to hearing aids? And finally, finding out how to treat tinnitus using this amazing technology. I wouldn't be doing this. Sometimes I believe in that calling in life. Just like you have an amazing voice, Glenn, and you're calling, as DJ interview.
I'm still waiting for that big break.
But some people I can't imagine you not doing that sort of thing. And
thank you.
Well, yeah, it's just we'll have our things, don't we? Yeah. And I was always going to be Mr. Audio in whatever capacity, and I just stumbled into the fact that I can treat hearing loss really effectively because I put my time into it, and then this wonderful tinnitus treatment that just came out of nowhere. It takes longer and it takes time, but it doesn't matter how bad it is. I've always seen worse, and I can do something about it. Our whole team can. That's not just me. My wife's amazing at this as well, and we've got like 30 staff now.
Great team, yeah.
And so I train them all up, and I've got sound engineers now. I've got PhD audiologists, and we all work together. So I'm by no means the oracle, but I'm the tenacious one, and we'll figure it out together. We've got an amazing offering. So people come from far afield. I think the furthest client we have is in Australia.
Really? Came from Australia to see you?
He lives in the UK half the time.
That's a testimonial, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's not quite. But he lives in Australia half the time. And he found us through Google, like a lot of people do. But a lot of it's recommendation.
Yeah.
And we've got people who live in France, Spain, all over. And also up in like Manchester and places because they've heard about what we do. And it's really, really
Specifically
hard.
with tinnitus?
Yes.
Yeah.
More so than hearing, even though what we do, I'd like to think it's such a wonderful offering for hearing as well. But the tinnitus side of things, it's just so lovely to actually treat something that is really affecting someone. And I've had people come up to me, clients come up to me and say, look, I wouldn't be here if I hadn't met you guys.
That's amazing.
I mean, that makes you just want to carry on, Sure. And
it's a job worthwhile.
Well, yeah, and I don't expect that. It's not it's my goal to have that impact on someone. But when that happens, it's lovely. It makes you think, well, I'm pretty lucky doing what I do. And yeah, we will get paid for these things, but making a difference, actually helping someone where most of the advice, almost all of the advice is you can't really do much. And you can go to places and get these tinnitus maskers and you can get counselling, etc., etc. But I'd like to think, I'm pretty damn sure, we get the root cause of it, or where that we get the nub of it. Where is it? Half my battle is finding where someone's tinnitus is.
Yeah.
And sometimes I call it whack-a-mole. Because
Whack-a-mole.
You know these things. You know these things where there's another one this. So I think the record was good old Bob, who came to see me in Eltham. He had 9 sounds in his head, and he said, "I could stand on the side of a motorway." Hell's Angel, brilliant guy. I stand on the side of a motorway, and I'd hear my tinnitus over all of it.
Wow.
And if someone
That must have been bad.
put a gun to my head, I'd say, "Do a proper job." That's what he said. Remember, it's clear as day.
Wow.
And we went through all 9 of his sounds.
You managed to grab them all.
Every one of them. It took 2 years. Because sometimes it can take a while. I can't promise instant effects. Sometimes it's instant. But typically, it takes a while, few appointments. So the point of what we do, every bit of our aftercare is included. So, you get these devices, whichever ones we go for, and we will look after them for life. So Bob was well happy with that. He literally had so many sounds that I learned a lot from him, and he has a photographic memory.
I'd love a photographic memory.
So he gave me the most detailed data
Brilliant.
that I worked. So a lot of the protocol came from him.
Fantastic.
But yeah, so there's a few people I've met and sort of pretty bad stories, but good news stories. There's not many people we can't help, and that's saying something. And it's really easy to be cynical and think that's all rubbish. It must be a scam. But I give people my mobile number, and you can bet your life if I get a phone call on a weekend, I've got kids hanging off me or whatever, it's going to be a tinnitus client. Something's gone wrong.
Wow.
And they're like, help, help, help. What do I do? So I'll answer the call. And that's unusual for a consultant to give them mobile numbers out. But I'd prefer that rather than them wait a few days, a week, whatever it is. So if you can work with people properly, then they will be your friend for life.
Yeah.
They will recommend you. And we've got so many Google reviews now. You can't fake Google reviews. So people look up Regain Hearing. You might have to trawl through a lot of the wax removal reviews because they're very happy when you get the wax out their ears. And the hearing aid ones, brilliant. People over the moon with their hearing aids.
Check out the tinnitus ones.
And you'll find these tinnitus ones.
Yeah.
These people are not stooges. We've got hundreds of them. I think it's over 1,000 last count. It's a lot. It's a lot. But 10 years I've been treating tinnitus. That's a lot. So, and that's not just me now. That's everyone all around the areas. But it's quite nice to have something you can do about it, and to say to someone, look, should we give it a go? Should we thwart this intruder of yours? So, yeah, it's about giving a little bit more. It takes a bit more time than just the hearing aid side of things.
It's thorough.
Oh, it has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to be pretty tenacious with this.
Lee, let's talk about mindfulness and relaxation techniques then. Would they help if you've got tinnitus?
Yeah, very
just
much. Yeah.
Relaxing and sitting in a dark room, would that make it worse?
Funny you should say that. So people don't really know what silence is when they suffer from tinnitus. A lot of the time, they'll try to avoid silence. So it's an interesting one. There are a lot of tinnitus maskers or just a bit of music or relaxation style, meditation style music. So a lot of people will put that on, just sounds in the background, nondescript sounds that will hopefully distract from the tinnitus, and then they can practice some kind of meditation in whichever form. There's so many forms of it, there's yoga and things. So it's just a case of finding something that relaxes you, because the problem you have is it can be a downward spiral if you let stress affect your tinnitus. So you don't really want to allow that. It will just get worse and worse. It can get worse and worse. Some people, it doesn't change the sound of the tinnitus, but stress is known as a contributor. So yes, anything like that, anything that will calm yourself down will help.
What about, we touched on it earlier, I know, lifestyle changes, diet, things like that. I mean, would that help at all?
Yeah, I've found out the hard way when I haven't asked those questions. When people have come to me with tinnitus, and I've done my thing, because I do my audio thing, you know, and I haven't really necessarily delved into, well, what is your lifestyle? And one guy, I failed to somehow ask him if he wore ear protection on the roof, the roofer, and he's cutting up tiles and things. I just didn't ask. Or somehow he just got missed. And that was an obvious one, ear protection at work. Even if you are in a relatively loud environment, but certainly if you're using grinders and power tools and things like that, it seems obvious.
They
but
make a hell of a noise, don't they?
Yeah,
really noisy.
Yes, get decent ear protection. We do custom ear protection, a lot of places do, and you get the cans. Make sure they're fitting properly, obvious things like that. And regarding like diets, just if you are taking certain things to excess, reduce that down. It can only help if you can, obviously. So it is more logical, but some people don't necessarily put two and two together.
Are you excited about any emerging treatments that are, on the horizon for tinnitus?
Always. I'm always looking to see if there's any stem cell research. Something to wake up these hair cells. Probably be out of a job, actually, but I'd be fine with that. So there's always these sorts of things. There's actually a device that you can put on your tongue now.
Really?
That I imagine it's something like reflexology, where how everything's connected. So someone will do something on your foot and it will help your shoulder. So I kind of liken it to this. It's like some kind of stimulation. I think it's called Lenoir on the tongue. We're thinking about maybe we can include that in our package, because that can sort of divert the signal somehow.
Yeah.
I don't quite get it, but that might help. So it's worth people checking that out.
What about people who are very much into alternative treatments?
Yes.
If you like?
Always hit and miss, a little tricky. But one thing I have heard of is ginkgo biloba, which is something that's it's like that Chinese herb that's quite good for certain things in life. And I've just had a few people mention that to me as something that has helped them. Now, it's very difficult for anyone to offer advice on that. So I can't really. But that's just something that's crept up a few times that's helped temper it. So whether that's factual or not, don't know, but it's probably worth mentioning.
What about coping strategies? People watching in today thinking, well, I might have tinnitus. I can hear something in my ears. I don't really want to go and get it looked at yet. Is there a way of coping themselves with it?
Kind of what we've already touched on. You need to try and distract yourself and not focus in on it.
Okay.
Maybe easier said than done. But the worst thing you can do is internalize. If you are focusing on your tinnitus, it's self-perpetuating. You'll just make it worse. Maybe not all the time, but you need to distract yourself. So some people put ocean wave noise on. That's a really good one. There's loads of apps now, actually. So if you download tinnitus apps, there's many of them, and that has certain sounds that you can stream through. Funny enough, you can do that with hearing aids now. So it's one of the alternative options we give people. There's get an app, stream sounds through. You can get sleep pillows now, where there's sound that you can play that only you'll hear, hopefully not your partner will hear, that is much better than having a radio on where it's upsetting other people. So that can be really useful. There's alternative things you can do to help. If it's not that bad, and you think, I'm not doing this yet. So being aware of it, and I suppose your lifestyle, just making sure it suits. And obviously not going places that are overly loud. So if you've got tinnitus and you don't want to make it worse, then noise can be quite the factor.
Talking to people with the same sort of problems that you've got can be helpful, can't it? Are there support groups out there that would help with tinnitus?
Loads.
Are there?
We do talks in some of them. Yeah, so there's normally a tinnitus support group somewhere in your area, and Google will help with that, or get somebody to Google it for you and maybe find out. So it's really good to go and talk to people who are having these issues, like many support groups, and just sometimes talking about it, because one of the worst things is to keep it in. Your family won't necessarily understand what you're talking about. If you've got this torturous condition, they don't necessarily know what you mean. So what a lovely thing to be able to go somewhere, talk to like-minded people of all different walks of life, and just get it out your system, you know. So it's lovely if, you know, places like us can help. Brilliant. But some of the time, you just need a bit of support there, someone to help. And
the emotional impact as well can be very strong, can't it, on this?
Well, very much.
Yeah.
It's kind of life-changing. That's why, if we can help, it makes such an incredible impact in people's lives. They come alive. You know, it's that weight off their shoulders and all that kind of thing. So that's why I love doing what I do. But absolutely, you know, you need to have a look at these things.
I wonder if, you probably can answer this obviously better than I can. Do you see a change in people's character as tinnitus worsens through their life? Does their character change?
It can.
Yeah.
It's, again, the things we've spoken about. If you've got this torture, it's like water torture or something poking you all the time, you try getting on with things. If all you hear is that. And it's very hard to put that across to people, that it's not me, it's my tinnitus, you know? Don't blame me, it's this sound in my head. So people can get irritable, grumpy. They can't concentrate on things, can't multitask. If it's to do with the hearing, which, like I said, 90%, then you kind of need to treat that, because otherwise your brain is having to overcome an issue, and that can lead to memory problems and all sorts of cognitive issues.
Sure.
So tinnitus, hearing loss, can lead to that. So it's much better if you can do something about it. Otherwise, you will get more and more irritable. It will affect you psychologically. You know, it's one of these things that it can change you as a person. So it's better if you can do something about it.
They always say prevention is better than cure, don't they? I mean, how can you prevent tinnitus?
So if you have a hearing loss, better to treat it quickly.
Yeah.
Because you're way more likely to develop tinnitus if you have a hearing loss. Certainly, if you know you have a hearing loss and you've got tinnitus, you're not doing anything about it, the tinnitus can get worse as the hearing gets worse. If you are working in a noisy place, get adequate ear protection. If you're susceptible to hearing loss or tinnitus in your family, then just be aware of your surroundings and what you're going to do to hopefully prevent that from becoming an issue. Now and again, certain medication can cause it, ototoxic medication, but more often than not, it's medication that you absolutely need. But there is medication that you might not have to take. We can take an alternative. So if you notice that you're taking medication and you're suddenly getting tinnitus, then put two and two together and maybe go and seek an alternative one, because that can become permanent.
As we wrap up today's episode, and I told you it was going to be a long one today, lots of questions, and I hope very much we've answered, and Lee's answered them for you. Final thoughts going forward. I mean, if somebody feels they have tinnitus, what steps should they take?
First thing is to talk to somebody about it. So you can go to your GP, you can go through ENT. A lot of people get MRI scans, by the way.
Okay.
So they don't want anything sinister going on, so it's not a bad route. A lot of the time, people come and see audiologists like ourselves, so a hearing test is probably the best way forwards. You can do all of these things at the same time. They're not exclusive. So you can book an appointment with a GP, you can get your hearing tested, probably quicker. So I'd suggest probably pay for a hearing test. You can get the free ones, not a problem. We do some of those as well, like an assessment, fairly quick test, but it doesn't always show it up. So the advice you'll then get is nothing wrong with you. You're fine. And then you go, oh, okay, that's not my hearing then. If you actually get a comprehensive hearing test where they go into a lot more detail, you might have to pay for it. Some places do a really comprehensive one for free. Fine, great, brilliant. That's absolutely the best thing you can do, because it's probably going to be related to the hearing. So yes, all those things.
All right. Fascinating. Thank you so much, Lee. Lee's got 11 centres across Kent. So if you need a helping hand with Regain, from Regain, do get in touch. Website and contact details coming up in just a moment. But Lee Fletcher from Regain Hearing.
Thank you so much.
Fascinating conversation. I mean, I think we touched huge area of it today, but there's more we can do in the future. I reckon,
there's so much more we can delve into. There'll be people watching going, you didn't talk about that. What about this research paper?
Yeah.
It's too much detail.
Well, if you've got any questions, do get in touch.
Absolutely.
Love to hear from you. All right, Lee, thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for watching. See you next time. Take care.
Thank you for watching. For more information, visit regainhearing.co.uk.